Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. We've got Kelly Cook with us today. How are you doing, Kelly?
Doing well. I can't wait. It's a holiday season, Elizabeth. It's Thanksgiving time, and we kind of roll it into Christmas time. I love it around here.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
I'm excited. Great time of year.
I've already decorated my house for Christmas, like November 1st. So
I'm
definitely
the background next time.
It's upstairs. I'll move it down here. But yeah, so I'm definitely in the Christmas spirit. And I think that, we talked a couple weeks ago about business planning and why it's so important to get that done kind of early, what you would think is early, but I mean, in October, but really from October to, January, I feel like this whole couple months goes by so quickly because it's so jam-packed with holidays and get-togethers. Maybe not as many due to COVID right now, but, there's just so many things going on. So it always rolls right by. So definitely, if you haven't business planned already, go back and listen to our episode. Get it done now. It's going to be too late pretty soon here.
Do not delay. We want everyone to have a fantastic January of 2021.
But today, we want to keep things relevant, and we need to talk about some news that just came out that we found out about. This is going back to Zillow, and they've been making changes left and right, kind of about their process. We talked about a month ago or so about how they were kind of going to a brokerage model, right? So they're really switching up their business. And Kelly heard some news recently about what they're doing with FSBOs, and this is definitely something that will definitely help out some agents, maybe make some homeowners not so happy, but might be better for them in the long run. So Kelly, let's dive into that.
Yeah, let's do that because that's very interesting. As you talked about, like Zillow did open their own brokerage, right? And right now they are doing that for the purposes of their iBuyer platform, right? Mm-hmm. So selling directly to consumers for anyone who wants Zillow to make them an offer or potentially buy their house. Now, we all know the iBuyer platform, you're going to take a little less, or sometimes a lot less than you would on the open market. But for convenience, you might be open to do that. But that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is very relevant because I'm sure most of our audience does business development calls. That's the new word, by the way, guys. Elizabeth, they're no longer cold calls. They are business development calls.
That's much better ring to it.
Much better ring, right? You don't sound like you're doing anything wrong now. Like you're doing something really, really important, right? With the business development calls, right? Mm-hmm. And because I know our audience wants to succeed in a very fast and high level in real estate, they are doing business development calls of some sort. That is part, I'm sure, of most people's business plans for 2021. And if it's not, I would highly recommend for it to be, okay? Now, if you are making business development calls and you like to call for sell-by owners, which by the way are a great data set to call, why? Because their hand's already up, right? They're already selling to sell their house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why guess? You don't have to guess, right? You just call them up and try to see if you can solicit your services to help them. However, the number one place everyone goes to get for sell-by owner data, including real estate agents, right, or mainly real estate agents, is Zillow. Well, Zillow no longer allows that data of the consumers, the homeowners' phone number to be on the website anymore. That is right, guys. I'll say it again. And for those who don't know, if you go to Zillow and look up 123 Main Street, that is a for sale by owner, the number listed there that you call will not be the homeowner's number anymore. That number will route you to Zillow's call center, probably in Seattle or one of their call centers somewhere, and you will talk to a Zillow representative who at that time will transfer you to one of their preferred agents in one of their zip codes. So down in Phoenix, we are in the Flex program with Zillow. We're one of their partners for the Flex program. And that's only in a few cities across the country, a few major markets. So most people and most agents that are still using Zillow are still purchasing zip codes. Now in the Flex program, which we won't go into right now in detail, but in Flex program, we still have zip codes as well that we are preferred in. And just like someone else would have a zip code in their market center they buy, right? And so if you're in that zip code and you're a preferred agent and you're the next guy or gal up, boom, your phone rings and it could be a buyer looking to talk to a for sale by owner. So what this is going to do, this is going to a couple things. It's going to obviously make the ability for agents who are prospecting to not get a hold of these for sale by owners as easy. And the second thing, it's going to hurt the for sale by owner trying to sell their house. I mean, before, every time we would call one, Elizabeth, agents on my team, the number one reason people would say, we would say, okay, where are you marketing your property? How are you getting the word out there to the public? And what's the number one thing they always said? Zillow. And that's, by the way, that's all they said, right?
That's it. Just throw it on Zillow. Yeah.
That's it. And that's gone. That's gone now, at least for the time being, right? And who knows if Zillow will change that back anytime soon, but that's gone. So now if you are not prospecting, or I should say business development calls, right? If you're not making those two for sale by owners, you should start right away. And one of your main things you should be talking about with your scripting should be, did you know blah, blah, blah about Zillow, right? And then that will create doubt because it's true. It's not a lie. And then hopefully they might be more apt to use you, considering the amount of phone calls they are receiving from anybody has significantly decreased. Because think about it, even the true buyer who's truly interested in that for sale by owner house, they are now talking to an agent with Zillow, and only the agent from Zillow has the number to the seller, the for sale by owner. So even the direct consumer, if they don't want to use that Zillow agent or the agent that works with Zillow, they still have to. That's their only avenue to actually contact that seller. So interesting play by Zillow, but I tell you what, it's going to hurt the for sale by owner community, and it's going to, in the long run, probably help the agent community if you're partners with Zillow, buying a zip code or partners in their Flex program.
I mean, and even when you say it'll hurt the for sale by owner community, I mean, yes, they're not going to be able to as easily sell their home by themselves, but we all know, we've talked about the problem with FSBOs and why those fail and all that. They're better off with an agent anyway. 100%. So
right. The stats do not lie.
But yeah, that's really interesting. And then I guess my question, and you may or may not have the answer to this, but so once if a consumer talks to that agent, from Zillow, then does that agent does that agent then reach out to the for sale by homeowner as just a buyer's agent, or? Correct.
That's right. Because they do have the ability to, get those numbers, obviously, from Zillow. Zillow will give them to the agent to make that contact. So yeah, as the buyer's agent, unless in doing so, you can convince the seller that you should use seller representation, right? Or listing representation. So very intriguing. So to your point, though, you're right. The FSBO community already, even with Zillow, their stats of what they would net, even not paying a fee, right? Mm-hmm. Where I think it's like 12 to 13% nationally less than if you had an agent assist you in the transaction. So, paying a 5, 6, 7% fee, whatever it may be, still more money in your pocket, given the averages and data that is nationally is out there. And here's the thing. We all know that part of the pricing and net to the seller comes from exposure, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's many different mediums to expose a property and ways to do so. Zillow is just one of them. And now that being the largest one gone for the FSBO, holy cow. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you did the same study and we talk a year from now, if the data hasn't switched from say 12% less to 15% less or something like that. We'll see how that plays out, but it's interesting.
And then I know too that, Zillow obviously is the kind of number one business in the space of where you can go to find a home, but it's not the only one. I mean, we've got, Redfin, I know that is getting pretty big, realtor.com. Do you know, or are those, as of right now, do those work the same way that Zillow did, where it does have the for sale by owner? And do you think that those will maybe start going in that direction as well?
Yeah, good question. And I'll be very honest, I'm not terribly familiar with, now obviously Redfin's huge. I'm not terribly familiar with them. I don't get on that site very often. Right. Yeah, but I'm almost pretty certain that realtor.com and homes.com never did have that FSBO offering, if you will, from Zillow. I mean, this all started with Zillow doing this section of their website called Make Me Move, where people are just like, hey, if you pay me this, I'll just move, right? And then it kind of morphed into this FSBO section, right? And they still had to make me move on there. But it became two different sections where almost like the wishful thinkers versus the people who actually kind of really did want to sell, So it's interesting, but you're right. To your point, there's only so many large national search portals or consumer sites. And those four we just talked about are, obviously Trulia is part of Zillow. So that's all one, but those four right there we talked about are arguably the four biggest.
And I think it'll just be interesting to see. I think Zillow kind of sets the precedent, and if other things start moving toward that direction as well. So they'll have
Definitely.
some FSBOs will definitely have some less avenues to go through to kind of get their homes out there. Then you've got the local Facebook buy, sell, trade sites or whatever that I think have blown up with homes for sale on there, because that's kind of one of the marketplace is kind of an unrestricted place that you can kind of post that. But
it's interesting. This all follows like cyclical to some degree, right? And they kind of morph because you mentioned Facebook Marketplace. Well, guess who now is putting a lot of ads out there on Facebook Marketplace? Realtors. We are. Our team does that, right?
Yeah.
And we're putting some of our own listings out there. And listen, let's be very clear. That hardly ever sells them. But that's where some eyeballs are, right? And so these people who are kind of trying to skirt the system now, especially Zillow's, did what they did. Now they're kind of going there. And so, but guess who's already there or going to follow them? Realtors. So it's gonna be just as annoying if you were annoyed to begin with as it was the first time, right? So that part is very interesting to see how that kind of morphs and plays, right?
Yep. So, yeah. I think that there will be kind of a lot of follow-ups to this move by Zillow to do that. Like you'll see kind of some other dominoes fall and things falling into place in different ways.
Well, what's interesting is like before Zillow had the for sale by owner, the big website was FSBO.com, right? But if I remember correctly, prior, this is years ago now, but they charged a fee. Now the fee was not much, right? I think it was a couple $100, but in the grand scheme of things, that's obviously not much. But now it might go back to for some owners actually having to pay something, even for no representation, just for any exposure at all, unless you go to Craigslist.
Exactly. Craigslist are, like I said, like those marketplace things. Those are going to be kind of their only options really at this point. Which like we know does help a little bit with exposure, but that cannot be all you're really doing. It won't work. The conversion rates aren't there, right?
That's right. And there's so much spam, like you have to deal with so much, people playing these, what's the all the false stuff and advertisement and. I can't think of the word right now, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like all the spam and stuff that's in Craigslist you have to deal with too as well, that you don't know what's real or not. So
yeah, could run into the Craigslist killer or something. You never know. So
yeah, exactly.
So big move by Zillow, but we are keeping you guys up to date. Well, if we find out more information or kind of as things evolve there, we'll definitely do a follow-up podcast on that. But in the meantime, I think next 2 weeks from now, we've got another guest coming on. We've got a couple more lined up, so definitely stay tuned for those. Subscribe so that you can, know exactly when a new episode is coming out. And if anybody has any questions about this, any other real estate topics, Kelly loves to talk about them. Or if you are interested in being a guest on and coming to talk to us on one of these podcasts, please reach out to Kelly. Kelly, where can they reach you?
Yeah, please. We'd love to. We're starting to get a lot more requests now for people wanting to join the podcast, which is awesome. Trying to schedule those, but certainly at kelly@kellycookhomes.com or on my cell, call or text 480-227-2028. And I'll say, please subscribe, smash that button, right? But also too, upcoming here really soon, Elizabeth, is the Thanksgiving weekend, right? And I don't know how it is in everyone's market across the entire country, but certainly in Arizona, man, Thanksgiving weekend is a busy weekend. So don't just sit back and eat so much turkey you can't even move on Friday and Saturday, because that's usually a pretty good day to do some business in real estate.
Yeah, because people are probably like me and are like, I don't even want to work for me, I don't even want to work that week at all. So if I were in the market to be, buying a house, I'd be doing it this week or this week. Well, I've got some time. Yeah. That's right. I'm at home shopping. I might, find out what my home is worth and think about moving. Right. It's busy. Got to get out there and work. All right. Well, we will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you, Kelly.
Yep. Thanks, guys. See you, Elizabeth.
Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.